Hello, video. Welcome back. I've got my new friend Mike here, and I met Mike here in Dumageddon at my favorite coffee shop, and I had asked him to meet me on Sunday, last Sunday, for an interview, and he'd agreed, and I forgot that Sunday was Easter, so I apologize again for not being there. I'm a guy that I always show up, so I was really sorry about that. So glad I got to see you, because you're leaving town today, right?
That's right.
You're going back to Thailand?
Yes, well, not initially. I'm going to go back to LA and visit my brother for a week, and then I'll be back to Bangkok in Thailand.
Did you have to go through any kind of exit clearance? I heard there's some kind of new document that you got to do when you're leaving the Philippines now. Some kind of new exit form.
I don't know anything about that, so I guess I'm going to find out.
You might want to check into that, because I was just literally watching something this morning that they've got some kind of new online form that you have to fill out to leave the Philippines. Because it's one of the few countries where you go through immigration to leave the country also.
Right.
And they've got some kind of form you do online.
My flight leaves from Manila tomorrow, so I'll look into that. And
look into that. You might have to fill a form out.
Fill out. Yeah.
Anyway, so you're living in Thailand. How long have you lived there?
Since October.
October. And you like it there?
I do. So I took a few months last year and kind of visited Thailand just to kind of get a feel for the place and see if I liked it, and then wound up applying to a job and getting the job in Thailand, and so I moved in October.
How does that work with taxes and things like that? Do you pay taxes in Thailand or still in America?
I do pay taxes in Thailand. They're not double taxed, though. There's an international tax treaty between the U.S. and Thailand to kind of ensure that there's no double counting of that. So I'm not on the hook for both countries' taxes.
I had heard something that if you live outside of America for a full year, your taxes are you're allowed to make a certain amount of money without paying anything.
That's true. It's called the foreign income exclusion. So I've worked abroad before, and if your income is like below $100 and something thousand, you don't need to.
Yeehaw! I qualify.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Well, great. Okay. So tell me a little bit about your background and career. Like, what did you do back in America?
My last job back in the United States was I worked for Snapchat as a data scientist.
Oh, wow, yeah. Huh. So are you like an IT guy then, huh?
Yeah, I work in tech, doing data analysis and data science. It wasn't my first career, so I actually studied it as an economist. Did a master's degree in the first year of a PhD program in economics.
Oh, wow.
And then spent a number of years in education, so teaching economics, before I decided to learn how to code, and then got into tech.
Well, so as an economist, what do you think about the economy in the U.S. right now? Because I was watching something the other day saying that even though there's problems in America, like the dollar's never going to go anywhere because America is such a strong country and has all the resources and things that other countries like Europe and stuff don't have. What do you think about the future of the economy? Do you think we're heading for like a recession or depression? I mean, there's a lot of doomsayers out there. I hear it on the news all the time. Like, how do you see it?
So the first thing I'll say is there are two kind of major fields of economics. There's micro and macro. So micro tends to focus on individual people and businesses' decisions, and macro is kind of the economy as a whole. So talking about inflation and unemployment and some of these broader factors that affect the whole economy. In general, macro is not really my thing. But what I'd say is that there have been a lot of world currencies that have been dominant for a long period of time. So the British pound was was king of the hill for quite a while. Before that, I think there were the Dutch.
Right.
So going back in history, there have been a lot of periods where there was one currency that was dominant, and there's nothing written in stone that the dollar needs to necessarily remain
Isn't it true that
top
every
currency.
fiat currency that's ever existed has eventually gone to zero?
Officially gone to zero.
Or gone out of existence?
I'm not sure about that. I mean, the British pound still exists, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So, and it still has some value. So,
Now, someone was saying the other day, like, if you took the dollar, look at the dollar, say 1950, compared to the dollar today, that, you know, say if you go back to when it was actually worth a dollar, I think you'd go back to approximately 1950, and then today it's worth like, what, 3 cents or something?
well, yeah. So over time, you know, there's this inflation phenomenon. So gradually, currencies' purchasing power erodes, and so yeah, you look back and you see, you know, when, you know, a bottle of Coke cost, you know, a nickel or, you know, 10
Yeah.
cents or something, and you compare that to today, and clearly the dollar's lost a lot of purchasing power.
Yeah. Here in the Philippines, like, you know, 50 pesos is equal to a dollar. So, you know, the math is different over here, you know, with the currency, but it seems to be holding pretty well, you know, the peso. It's actually, I think the dollar's gone up against it recently. So, you're working in Thailand, you're visiting here for just what, to check it out, or what was your reason for coming here? Like, you were just curious, or?
Yeah, I'd say that I'm working in Bangkok, Thailand currently. I'm not really a big city kind of guy. I grew
Yeah.
up in a small town. I kind of like a little bit more of a leisurely pace of life.
Right.
And you know, I had watched a couple of YouTubers, so you and a couple of other guys around here. And it seemed like Dumaguete was a nice place to live, and so I came to check it out and see for myself.
What do you think?
I like it so far. There seems to be a real community of people here that you know, look out for each other and are very welcoming. I like the climate. I was actually expecting it to be a lot hotter here when I arrived, but it's been perfect for the past week.
Yeah, the weather doesn't bother me at all. Like, you know, in the raining season, even it's pretty much the same temperature. Like, it might rain every other day, and it rains for an hour or two, and then the sun comes out. And I don't mind the weather here at all. Like, I really like it a lot. I love waking up and it's sunny every single day. It's like it's some places back in America, you've got the snow and all the tornadoes that have happened recently and things like that, and we just don't have that here. I mean, so I like the weather, and I live on the beach, so I've got the ocean breeze all the time. But the big thing that attracts me and makes me want to stay here is just the cost of living, especially when it comes to rent and housing. Because I heard that in America now, on a minimum wage job, I'm not sure what minimum wage is in America, I think it's probably, say, around $10 an hour, something like that, that your average person living by themselves can't afford a one-bedroom apartment in any major city in America, working minimum wage.
Yeah, I've been in LA recently, and you know, I'd see people working at, you know, Starbucks or coffee shops, and I'd think to myself, you know, how the heck can they afford to, you know, rent an apartment, or even with roommates? I don't know how they'd make that work.
Yeah. How are rents in Thailand?
So they're I'd say, well, I live in Bangkok, and kind of an expensive area in Bangkok. I have a one studio apartment, and I pay about $1,000 a month. I've got a lot of amenities though, so I've got a gym, swimming pool, sauna. It's a nice setup.
Does your company pay for that?
No, I pay for it.
Oh,
myself.
really?
Yeah.
Oh. Is that tax deductible? That you go out of the
No,
country?
I don't think so. No.
Huh, interesting. So, you mind if I ask how old you are?
42.
Oh, you're young.
Turning 43 this month.
Well, you're young. My 40s are like my favorite time of my life, you know, like, so you're actually thinking about possibly retiring, or I imagine with a man with your skills though, you could work online doing all kinds of different things and make money online and live anywhere in the world you wanted.
Yeah, that's. I'd say I'm still kind of looking at options. So that's some place I think I could get to. I've looked at, like, for example, living in Chiang Mai in Thailand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I heard that's nice there.
That's one option, and certainly maybe here in the Philippines. The only thing that kind of concerns me a little bit is the brownout situation that I've heard about here.
Here in Dumaguete, it's not too bad. Up in Valencia, where I lived for 2 years, we had a lot of them there. Like it was almost every week, for an hour or two here and there. In Bakong, where I live, doesn't happen very often. When it does, they usually announce it'll say on Sunday, power's going to be off for so many hours, so you can plan for it. But it hasn't really affected me, and I make my money online. Like downloading videos. Before that, I was tutoring, and it really wasn't that big of an inconvenience. Really, it's just one of those things. But especially if you don't have any kind of time frame, if you're just doing work online, the power comes back on, or you can always just get on your bike or your car and go someplace that's got internet or it's got power. There's always that option too. But I wouldn't let that deter you. And as far as cost of living here, if you're paying $1,000 for a studio, I think you could probably get the same amenities here in the Philippines for like half that, even if you went to probably BGC, which is very modern there.
Yeah, I think probably if I wanted to live here long term, I'd be more interested in a house and
Lots of houses, yeah.
So I've been following Greg and Wilma. I know
good
you
friends of
interviewed
mine.
them. Yeah, and,
Just saw them the other day.
been really interested in watching their home build. I guess my long-term goal would probably be to find a way to kind of get off the grid and build a home that is.
Yeah, they're up on the mountain there.
Yeah.
Well, it's too bad you're not staying longer. I'd take you up there. I actually owe them a visit. I saw them the other day at a party, at a barbecue, and we need to go up there and see them because I haven't been there since the house is finished. I've got another good friend of mine that's building a house in Bakong with a pool and everything. So I know quite a few people that are doing that. So yeah.
Yeah, I could see, especially nowadays, I think there's a real appeal to kind of, getting away from it all and having, having a bit of land to yourself.
Yeah, up where they are, like they're on the side of the mountain, and they've got a view of Apple Island, a view of Siquijor, and it's really cool. Way cooler up there, almost 15 degrees. And then the way their house is positioned, like between two mountains, this cool breeze pours off the mountains right down where their house is. So you can sit there, it's like an air conditioner from the mountains coming down.
Yep.
Really nice, really nice. So yeah, that's a possibility too. And they're changing the laws here, so I hear, where you can actually own things 100% too. So that's
really, I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, that's something they're talking about changing. And also, there's ways around all that too. Like my friend Julian buys and sells real estate here in the Philippines, and he knows all these ways around doing that with corporations and stuff like that. So there's a lot of things you can do. But yeah, I think it's great here. And so I've been asking people this question the last couple of months when I interview them, but in your lifetime, what's like the hardest thing you've had to go through, like the biggest challenge you've had to overcome, like in your life, and you look back on, I know you're a young man, but you look back, and what was like one of the hardest challenges you ever went through?
I'd say probably a relationship that didn't work out. So I'm divorced. That was kind of a tough period in my life. But I was kind of able to pick myself up off the ground and haven't looked back.
Yeah, I think you'll meet a lot of guys here in the same situation. Some of them had an amicable divorce where they split up and there was no hard feelings, and other ones had brutal divorces where they lost everything, can't see their children, things like that. So there's a lot of guys here gone through that. How do you feel now about a relationship? Do you think you'd ever get married again?
Yes, I do. Yeah, it's been 4 years now, and I think I've dated a bit since then.
Yeah.
So I think I'm ready for a longer term relationship.
All my friends are good guys, but I found the guys that are honest men, good men with a good heart that come here, if they want a relationship, they've all found one. I've got lots and lots of friends. They're either married or they're dating somebody living with them, and they're all just very happy, and it's all working out. Some of them are with women they're much younger than them. Other ones are with women they're basically the same age, sometimes even a couple years older than them, and they're all very happy. Some of them are here right now today. And it's something about the Philippines. I found this out when I first got here. I only been here like 2 days, and people were asking me if I had a girlfriend. And they seem to think that everybody should ever be in a relationship, especially men. So they say, well, so are you married? You know, do you have a girlfriend? You know, why are you here? And start quizzing you about this. You'll find that a lot. And then the next thing is, well, you know, my aunt, my cousin, my friend, my neighbor, you know, they're single and they want to introduce you, you know, to somebody and try and fix you up. And they're doing it good-heartedly, you know. They're not, you know, but it's kind of hard not to get in a relationship here if, you know, you're open to that. And a young guy like you know, you're a prime candidate, you know, because there's not a lot of men here that are in their 40s that are, you know, that can retire self-sufficient. So, you know, you're a prime candidate. So,
well, good to hear.
Yeah, be prepared.
All right, I'll try to see what I can do to fight him off.
Yeah, but anyway, so our next question is like, in your lifetime, like, what's the best thing that's ever happened to you? When you think back on a turning point in your life, say, wow, that was really, I'm so glad I made that decision. I'm so glad that that particular thing happened to me. It really changed my life.
So probably the first time I went abroad. After grad school, after doing my master's, I worked for a bit for the state of California as the Cal EPA Air Resources Board. And I really didn't seem a whole lot of a future there for me. And I had a friend who was taking a job as an assistant professor at a university in China, in Shenzhen. And he told me there was a job there, you know, if I was interested. This was in 2008. So at that time, there wasn't a whole lot of hiring for, you know, entry level, you know, economics graduates in the States. And I'd never been abroad before, and it was just a great experience to kind of get me out of my comfort zone and see the world.
So you lived in China for a while, or?
I did. I wound up staying there for 8 years.
8 years?
Yeah.
Okay, now you got to go into that. Now tell me a little bit about that, because there's all this tension now between America and China and Philippines and China. I mean, what was it like, and how were you treated as an American there?
So I'd say on the whole, I was treated very well. I have really dear friends back in China in a number of cities. The people there are just, you know, very warm and welcoming individually. I will say that there was kind of a general tightening of the climate in terms of administrative tasks. So when I arrived there, it was really easy to get things done. There were a lot of rules on the books, but they weren't necessarily enforced very strictly. And if you knew someone that, you know, knew someone, you could get everything done and fixed relatively easily. And as the longer and longer I stayed, it became more and more difficult, and a lot of these rules were really more strictly enforced.
Do you speak Chinese or Mandarin?
一点点，可是我说得不好. I speak poorly.
Wow. Now, did you learn that when you got there? You started studying before you left, or?
I had a little phrase book that I was studying from, and then also I did these tapes. They're called like Pimsleur Mandarin. So I'd listen to them on my headphones, and that's kind of how I was learning. I'm still not I'm not advanced or fluent by any means, but
you're a scholar, a guy with an advanced degree, so I imagine learning is something you're really good at.
Not learning languages, actually.
You speak any other languages?
I took Latin in high school to avoid you know, learning a language I'd actually have to speak.
All I remember from Latin is agricola means farmer.
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
that's it. That's all I remember. So you're going back to America. How long are you going to stay there?
Just a week.
1 week, okay.
Yeah, going to go see my brother and my nephews. So really excited about that.
And then back to Thailand?
Back to Bangkok, yeah.
Nice. What was your flight like? Was it expensive?
I think so. All my flights. So from Bangkok to Manila, to Dumaguete, back to Manila, to LA, to Bangkok, everything in total was like $1,500.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but you work for a travel company,
No,
don't you?
no discounts, nothing. I booked
Did you
this
book it through Agoda? You work for Agoda, right?
Yeah, I booked it actually through Kayak.
Well, that means you're a trader.
I guess so.
You get fired for that. A kayak, huh? And God, that's a good price though, because I checked recently flying from, because I need to visit my family in Louisville. I was looking at flights from Dumaguete to Louisville, round trip, and it was like $2,500. Wow. Did you book it like short term, or you booked it a long time ago, or?
No, I just booked it a couple weeks ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's good. So prices. So you're in the travel business. Do you see prices going down for flights and stuff, or?
So yeah, I can't really speak to that. Not I don't really see where the price of flights are going in the medium term. I can say it does look like there's there's increasing travel here in Asia for sure.
Oh yeah, I noticed that too. Is there certain times of year, since you're in the business, there's certain times of year that prices are lower for hotels and things like that? Like, for example, in Thailand, is there a time of year where if you want to go to Thailand, especially if you're thinking about moving there, that's a good time to go, or?
So the high season is right now.
Okay.
We're kind of the tail end. Actually, no. Now that I think about it, the high season is like November through March. So actually, we're kind of coming out of high season. But yeah, it's those kind of cooler months that things tend to be expensive, and then especially like say New Year's Eve. That's
Oh yeah.
that's a date where there are a lot of bookings.
So you'll be working in Thailand like indefinitely then, for now, or?
Yes, I am.
How do you got a work visa or something, or how?
I do. I have a work visa. It's 3 years, multi-entry, so I can come and go as I please for
Nice.
till 2026, I think.
Nice. Well, it's really nice talking to you. I'd talk to you more, but they're turning up the music here in the coffee shop, and make it hard to listen. But
It was a pleasure, Mark.
yeah, pleasure too. And do you think you'll be coming back to the Philippines like in the near future? Or?
Yes, I do.
Good. Well, I hope you'll look me up, and get to know you better and spend more time with you, So thank you so much for your time and sharing your story. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for subscribing, and we'll see you next time. Bye.